Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker shills, desolators, peasants, vassals, meat sacks, Cypriots, bankers, scum, banker scum. I'm a useful idiot, and today let's talk about that Cyprus bankster fantasy island clusterfuck. Holy shit. I can't believe what's going down in Cyprus. It was hard enough to believe that they came up with that plan to levy against depositors, and now we had a bank holiday for 2 weeks, and now we're in a situation where depositors that have over 100,000 euros will get shares in the bank worth 37% and have losses of anywhere from 60 to 75%. That money is gone. And this is just incomprehensible, staggering, unfathomable. I just cannot believe we've gotten to the point, the bottom line, where when it comes to push comes to shove, the state has the right to your money, your time, your labor, your life. Everything that went into putting that money together and putting it into those accounts is now belonging to the state. And but it gets worse than that, of course, because now we have staggering examples of insider actions and cronyism. And this should come as no surprise either. I mean, this is a bankster fantasy island, and in every single way. I mean, think about an economy where there's 700,000 jobs, and 100,000 of them are in the financial industry. 45% of that economy is international banking. So this is where we are now, and the lesson to be learned here, of course, is that this banking system and this interrelationship between the banks and corporations and the government and the central bank that we have in Cyprus is just an example. We're getting a glimpse inside what is the foundation everywhere in the globe. This is how all of these systems are run globally. So let's get down to the dirty details. So first of all, turns out that a lot of the insiders were able to squirrel a lot of their money out of Cyprus before anything happened. In fact, 4.5 billion euros were moved out of Cyprus the week before the proposed deposit levy. And then also a company owned by in-laws of the president, Anastasiades, wired 21 million euros to London days before the proposed deposit levy. And also turns out that most senior officials of the banks and the government all have empty accounts now. They all got their money out of Cyprus. And there's even speculation that a lot of the money from the UK and Russia got squirreled out of the banks as well, because their branches of the Cyprus banks in Russia and London remained open, while the banks remained closed in Cyprus. So the bottom line is, it looks like a lot of people, the people of Cyprus, are the ones that are really going to be taking a lot of hits. And the very reason you want to put your money in a bank is for it to be safe and to get interest. And apparently those will not be met. They will not be paying interest for the foreseeable future either. And these capital controls are going to be on for days, weeks, months, and probably years. And so this is quite a tragedy for this small country. So then we have, so not only do we have all the insiders getting their money out on time, and all of it before any of the confiscation is done, but it also turns out the Greek newspaper Ethos listed millions of loans that were written off by insolvent Cyprus banks. So let me remind you that the knowledge that these banks were having problems occurred at the time of the crash. So for the last 5 years, they've known, last year, they've known that their banks were all insolvent and would need a bailout. And in that last 5 years, tied to all political parties and companies and members of parliament and local authority officials, all were involved in a feeding frenzy, getting their loans written off, because they knew these banks were going down and that these losses would just disappear. And a good example of that, the former Cyprus vice president, George Vasiliou, 51% stake in a company that had $5.8 million of his loan just written off. Another example was a company owned by the brother of a former minister of the Conservative Party who had 1.28 million euros of a 1.59 million euro loan written off, almost the entire loan. And recent revelations of a huge write-off for a company majority owned by the former president as well. So needless to say, all these clowns are lining up to give their alibis and their excuses of why nothing illegal happened. But of course, the bottom line is they all got their money out because they got insider knowledge, and that's just the bottom line. So the people are angry, and well, they should be, because they're directing their anger against Germany, who has drawn the line, and their speculation that bail-in and confiscation of accounts and not helping banks, they need to help themselves, will be the wave of the future. So there's a lot of anger against Germany, a lot of anger against the governor of the central bank, Panikos Dimitriades. Interesting name, Panikos, for a central bank governor. He was the author of the February 11th letter that assured that there would be no confiscation of accounts and that it was just a rumor. Of course, it was true. And then he also wanted to reopen banks the next day with no capital controls, which of course would have caused bank runs of epic proportions. And now there's the speculation about whether this will be a template for the future, and apparently it would be, because of all the denials that are coming out, for one thing. When they vehemently deny that it is a template, that we know it is, and we also have seen discussions of this same tactic in New Zealand, Canada, Italy, Spain, and it's buried in the language of a lot of the bailout documentation produced for the last 5 years. So it's actually showing up everywhere. But the collapse here is really going to hurt this economy. As I mentioned earlier, 45% of the economy is international banking, and 90% of that should disappear overnight. So theoretically, their economy should shrink by about 50%, and that's probably not a low estimate. Although officials were suggesting that the economy would shrink 3.5% this year, and now they're saying it's going to be 9%. But I would suggest it's going to be more likely it's going to be 25%. Although now they are discussing the idea of legalizing gambling on Cyprus. So that would be great. Have Cyprus turn into a giant casino megaplex. And that would certainly provide lots of jobs and lots of cash flow, and would be a good replacement, actually, for their banking industry, because it would just be going from one gambling operation to an even more efficient one. And then we have all the other tax havens and money shelters like Malta, Luxembourg, and Cayman Islands trying to woo customers away. So they're swooping in on the carcass of Cyprus, hoping to generate some business for their tax havens. And one Swiss company offered, quote, an investment vehicle which is extremely low profile, not classified as a bank account or trust, and thus far very much under the radar of national fiscal authorities, unquote. And they go on to say, quote, absolutely not an invitation to evade taxes, unquote. So great sales pitch there, and we just hope Luxembourg and Malta don't suffer the same fate of Cyprus. But so how do you think the small businesses are going to do in Cyprus now, with their basically 70% of all their business accounts confiscated, and then they have no cash flow now to run their businesses? And another thing is that we have 700,000 jobs in the island of Cyprus, and 100,000 of those were in finance. So a big chunk of those are going to go away, and then all the associated businesses whose clientele declines because there is no more finance jobs. So an unemployment rate of 15% before this crash, I would imagine 25 or 30% would not be out of the question in very short order. and they can join the rest of Europe in a depression, at least the southern part of Europe. So, so there we have it. What a bankster fantasy island clusterfuck of epic proportions. Capital cronyism, insider capital flight, Russian money, tax haven money, account confiscation, and now a collapsing economy. And good luck to them. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.